Most physicians can't even tell me their net worth. They have no idea. They don't even know their P&L. Mm-hmm. They don't know, like a business owner would know their net worth statement. They would have their balance sheet.
Yep.
The balance sheet tells you where you are at now. So any business has a balance sheet. Everything's titled back to the balance sheet is where it starts. And then the next thing is they have a P&L. Most physicians are just one paycheck away from being broke, things like that, because they've increased their standards of living, their lifestyle can't keep up, and guess what? They're stuck in the trap. Because now they can't leave the $1 million income or whatever it is.
Yep.
So that they don't have a P&L. And the next thing is they have no idea what their protection is. They'll insure everything else, the cars, all this stuff, but they're the golden goose. They don't even know how to protect the goose.
This is my time. I'm on the road.
Hi, I'm Kyle Stevenson, and you're listening to the Assets and Orthopedics Podcast. In this forum, we hope to educate medical students, residents, physicians, and other high-income professionals on the power of investing, especially in real estate assets and syndications. We want to help providers gain financial intelligence with the hope of earning financial freedom. Please listen and learn so you can spend more time doing what you love with who you love. Enjoy the podcast.
I go 100 all day.
Hello and welcome to the Assets and Orthopedics Podcast. This is your host, Kyle Stevenson. I'm excited to, A, be in person with my guest this time, and B, welcome you, or welcome CEO of Invst, Mr. Scott Jared. Thanks for coming on the show, sir.
Thanks for having me.
Yes.
This is awesome, Kyle. Let's go.
This is great. This is awesome. Yeah. So we're in Scott's studio, which I'm loving. I think I need to take notes and do all this at my house.
Yeah, definitely.
It's nice.
You could set up different rooms. You could have one with the video. You got the chairs. All that stuff.
And right now we're in a townhome, so it's not very it's not good for this, but we are building a house, and so in 2 months we'll have a nice studio, and I'll be good to go.
Great.
So I'll invite you to the studio next time. How's that?
Place. That's what it's for.
Okay, we appreciate that. All right, so let me give a quick introduction, and then we'll let you take us on your journey. So Scott Jared is the founder and CEO of Invst. He is a certified financial planner and certified exit planning advisor. So we're going to learn the difference between those two. He leads with a mission to help people reach their full financial potential. After leaving corporate America, Scott set out to build something different, a firm that challenges traditional financial industry norms. He is also author of 2 books, the first one being Future Hack, How to Reach Your Full Financial Potential Faster, and the second is Accelerate, How to Reach Financial Freedom Faster so you can live the life you want. So, tell us a little bit more of bio. We'll get deep into your story, but
okay.
What do you think about, tell us a little bit about, add to it as you need to. How about that?
Great. Yeah. So I think it's funny. You said the 2 books, and it's about faster, like how you get there faster. And I just felt like my story was very much as a child with no money and family very poor. My mom had me when she was 19 years old and just trying to figure out life. And then, when my parents split, she had to wait tables and do everything she could just to get by. And, we just never really came from any money. And I just realized that living inside of a, Section 8 apartment and always being fearful of what might be outside or that where's food going to come from, where's this, and always being in this scarcity world where you're dependent on, food stamps, the government and things of that nature for your freedom. And it just felt so helpless. Yep. And I just remembered that that the world actually is full of possibilities. I just didn't know it at the time. And once I was able to go through a series of things in my life to overcome, started figuring out that, hey man, you can actually do whatever you want. And you don't have to, if you're born in America and you can get up every day and you can work hard, oh my gosh, you can do so much. And just through that journey to get to all the way through, playing sports, to getting into college, getting a master's degree and all the things that no one in my family has ever done before, just started to say that you can design the life that you want. Mm-hmm. And I just thought that would be a really good career path. And if you could create the best ideal situation for yourself, you would do something that you would never get tired from. You have complete energy around. And I selfishly just built my career around solving that problem that was something that I was so just overwhelmed with impossibility to say, how can we live a life of abundance versus in scarcity? And that was it. That was literally how Invst was created.
Okay. I love it. And we are going to get into that because we talk about your story. I just want to introduce you to the podcast and what we do with assets and orthopedics.
Okay.
So I'm a physician, as we talked about, and I wanted to educate physicians. It started as educating physicians on real estate investing. That's how
Perfect.
it started.
It's great.
But then we've since kind of morphed into what I call Legacy RX, which is really diving deeper into how do the wealthy think. And I think that a lot of physicians and other high-income professionals, not just physicians, dentists and chiropractors and anybody else, I think a lot of us have a middle-class mindset. And we just kind of, started with the norm, like the traditional way of investing and the traditional way of thinking. And I think a lot of it is that scarcity mindset that we'll get into because you talk about it in your book. So I think that you're the perfect guest to have on for our audience. So we appreciate you coming on. But let's start with that story. And I know you touched on it a little bit, but you've talked about breaking free from the scarcity mindset. And again, I argue that I think a lot of people, as I'm reading your book and others talk about it, I think that a lot more of us have that scarcity mindset. Even if we make a lot of money, even millionaires or professional athletes, a lot of them have a scarcity mindset. Somebody that makes $75,000 may have that scarcity mindset. So it doesn't matter where you're at. How do you go from scarcity mindset to abundance mindset? And what was the turning point for you?
I would say, I think you nailed it. Professional athletes and people have scarcity mindset because they have a time horizon. What happens is, like, if you play a professional sport, if you're in orthopedics and you work with them, you're like, you might be done.
Right.
And now your scarcity is that, well, my career is done because I can only, if a football player's got so long, this is what I have. So my thought is I got to hold on to this because I'm known as a sports football player. Mm-hmm. Like that's what I do, or basketball, whatever it might be. Yep. Like I don't know how to recreate myself.
Right.
That's what I do.
Identity.
This is my career.
Yeah.
And so then, I could totally see why you'd want to hold on to that. But what we don't, there's another side. So you always got to think of the contrarian side. Mm-hmm. And the contrarian side would say that you're actually not just an athlete, you're a human. You're not a human doer, you're a human being. Mm-hmm. What do you want to become? So what we got to do is start focusing on what of you are your most important asset. Yeah. And just because you are labeled as a football player, an athlete, or a doctor, or whatever that might be your career path, but you're so much more than that. And so abundance says that it isn't scarce. All resources are plentiful. You can do whatever you want. And now we just flip that around where you don't have to hold and do this. You can say, I can actually grow my wealth. I can actually empower myself and learn how to become better at whatever it is. But just because that career may have came to a stop in that way, doesn't mean you can't reinvent yourself and do something else. Mm-hmm. And, but that's the journey that you're on. And that's where scarcity comes from because you're like, well, I don't have any other options. I don't have any, like if you're in Section 8 housing and all that, like I can't go anywhere. I have no money. Like I literally can't do anything. Mm-hmm. It's helpless. Like you're just helpless. And everyone you talk to is going, well, don't do too much because then you'll get taken off the vine. You're supported because you're just like, how do you get out of this? Yep. And so that's how you figure it out. You go, you know what? Why do I have to play by these rules? Who makes the rules? Mm-hmm. Just because someone else made the rules doesn't mean those are the rules that I have to follow. So why don't we design our own rules to say, you know what? What if I wasn't in this situation? What would it look like? So what we got to do is we got to get really good at thinking about our thinking of what we want. And so you can design your life to what you want, then you're going to be abide by someone else's rule. It says, look, you're poor, you never were anything, you're going to be that. Okay, and there's a whole set of the population that believes that.
Yep.
And then there's a football player out there that figured out that he want to overcome all this stuff to become this great football player. And then the day after the football player is over, he's like, should I commit suicide? Like, who am I? What's my identity? Because that's the real thing.
Yep.
And then you're like, no, you're done about like what the most humans can't even possibly imagine to get to that point. No, you're far from done in that way.
Yeah, no, that's amazing. So what made the transition for you? I know you have a very impressive story, upbringing and everything, and you can get into it as deep as you want to. Your books do a great job of laying it out there. But what made that transition for you to go from scarcity mindset to abundance?
I was lucky that you are the people you meet in the books you read, the people you hang out with in the books you read. You're really a separation of those. So if you feel like something's off, what I learned really early is I just want to learn from people that weren't in my situation, that were doing, like, who would you want to become? Mm-hmm. And when once again, if you're in a situation where you don't have things, it gives you a lot of time to think. Like most rappers, they create their best content when they're in jail.
Sure.
Like, matter of fact, they go to jail, like, to really create it. Like, they can go and they can be clear in their head. Simon Sinek wrote the Book of Why, started Why on a flight to California and back. So he's on that flight, he came back, he created the book. So that is a gift, is that how can you be calm in your head? How can you get clarity on what you want? And then a book, actually, if you journal and you write down what's happening and those become subconscious things, and then I speak it to you, say, hey, I would like to get out of this situation and here's my thing. And guess what? It starts to happen. So there's patterns, there's secrets, there's success tools, there's things that people do to break bad habits to get better. And that was it. And so I was like, you can do whatever you want. You can hack any future, you can do anything. And I had to learn that over time. I just didn't know I was doing it. I just knew this hurts. I'm not going to touch the stove in again. I'm going to go do this. And it was just a series of those things that said, oh my goodness, there's a framework here. This is something that happens. But
that's amazing.
It's all the books. You read the books. Oh, this is it.
So that's really cool. Two things you just brought up. So like for me personally, I get my best thinking done, 5 a.m. workout. Kids aren't up until 7. So I have 2 hours to get work done and think. And you could be, alone with your thoughts. And that's when creative ideas and you start dreaming and doing all the cool things in your head.
Yes.
Too many people have their cell phones at their beck and call where they can't dream because they're literally just stuck to this, right? You got to be creative in your mind. The other thing that you talk about is books. And I think I tell young people this all the time. Like, you can get past 90-something% of people if you just read books. Like, turn the TVs off on Saturday and Sunday. Everybody else is watching football. If you're reading books, you'll get way ahead of people your age. So
I'm severe ADHD and dyslexic.
Okay.
Like, I struggle with it. So I would read these books, and it would take me forever. Like, my grandma would say, here, read the Bible. And I'm like, boy, this is rough. And then, but now, like, I can read this book in, like, 15 minutes. And I would start from the back, work forward. So, so what I had to do in my own way was create another way to look at it. And so I turned a weakness into a strength. And so you start to overcome.
Okay.
Right. So learning disabilities, things like that, where now I learned that I want to be a speed test taker. Like, I want to take it faster because I don't have time to sit there and think about it. So I got better at test taking. Like, so I went from all these things. So you start to learn things about yourself. So that's like how you got to be really aware.
That's amazing. Yeah.
So how
take a weakness to a strength. Yeah.
How aware are you? Are you self-aware?
Yep.
And so that's what your gym is. That's your point, that you take care of yourself first. You show up, you do your thing, it's you mentally clear. So people are counting on you to do surgeries well, steady hand or whatever. Like, you take care of yourself first. That's a habit. You take care of yourself first, and now you can show up for all the people that are counting on you. And I do the same thing. I got a gym here. I hit it hard. I get my mental sanity that way.
Exactly.
And that's where I can come in. I can tackle the day because, look, I've got the energy now because I took care of myself. Because if I'm not right, then I can't show up for the people that need me to be right. And it's for all of us. So if you're a physician or you're that, like, how are you going to be intentional in that? And that's a habit. So it takes 20 days to break a habit. Start a habit.
I love it. Yeah. No, you're right. That's so good. All right, let's talk about Invst and how you guys, I know you had a company before Invst, but let's just talk about how you got into it. And I want to preface it by saying, in another podcast, I heard you say that you have your certified financial planners that go take the test, they go do their thing, and then they come back to you, and then you retrain them. So what is the difference between the mentality that you like to teach that's so different than the norm, the traditional financial industry? How about that?
Well, it's like if you go to school to be a doctor, like, you probably should go to the things. No one's going to go work with a doctor that's not like an MD or a DO or whatever it might be. In our industry, it's certified financial planning.
Yep.
And what that is a series of tests that you go through to say that you have done the disciplines necessary to be certified to be able to help somebody in planning. But the reality is planning doesn't work. You can set a plan, but nothing stays static. Like, everything changes. So, like, Mike Tyson always said, everyone's got a plan until they get punched in the face.
Right.
And the thing is, it's about positioning, and it's about adapting, being self-aware and adapting to your changing environment. So the hardest thing for me was going through planning was like, well, it's interesting what the industry decides as what works and what doesn't, and all these different ways to control our money for someone else. But there was never anything in the CFP. It talks about what are cap rates on real estate and how to build cash flow real estate. There was nothing in there about how to build enterprise value in a business, or how to get out of the business, how to get out of the employment in medicine to the business of medicine and entrepreneurship thought. It was about how we can sell products, push things into somebody to be able to be their financial success. I was like, well, who wrote these books? So you can go and say, oh, who's this? Who's the sponsor of it? What's FINRA? Oh, it's the broker dealers that are there that you represent. I was like, oh, okay. So I'm not very smart, but you start to look at, well, where's it coming from? I was like, well, I read the book Snowball and Warren Buffett, but he never talked about those things. Or I read, Ray Dalio's Principles and how that was, or The Intelligent Investor. So then you start asking yourself, like, oh, great. So now at least I'm certified. So you can come and see me in a financial planning that I say you might want to think about, because planning is not the right approach, because you can't plan for something that's always changing. You could be positioned properly. Like in basketball, it's like motion offense, where you go here, I go there. We're not going to set the script. It's like we just move as it goes. So we're like, well, actually, the most successful people have control. They're able to maneuver through things. They're able to be protected. They control their controllables. So it's just interesting going through planning is this thing. I was like, well, financial planning, I don't see how that works very well, because you send me this big paper. It says, here's how you're going to work out. Like, oh, I just lost my job. I just got in a car accident. I just got sick. Maybe my income stopped. What if I die? There's no protection. Like, how do you know? Like, this thing, interest rates change, tariffs, whatever's going on in the world, like, it impacts it. It changes.
I mean, even from 2008, things have changed so much, right?
Yeah.
With printing of money and things like that, there's been a ton of different changes.
So constant is change. Printing money, great. How are we going to do it?
Right.
So I read the book, A Case Against the Fed. So people say debt's bad. Well, then why is it that everyone gets the debt first is the one that has all the money? Good to know. Am I saying it's right or wrong? I just want to know. Just be curious. So I was being curious, and I'm like, well, wouldn't it be cool if you could take this financial plan of and put it into a financial model and play chess and say, okay, if debt is bad, then how to use it for an asset? But if I could put it into my financial life and show me how it can be an asset on my balance sheet and put it to work, to you saying, hey, I'm going to start a real estate thing for doctors. Well, that's how you create cash flow. Why use your money when you use someone else's? So I'm like, the wealthy says use other people's money, use other people's time. Then why are we using mine to put into your 401k plan that they get to use to build their empires? Now, is there a place for it? Sure. But as a doctor, where are you going to do it? You're going to go to work. You're going to work your butt off. You're going to have no time to think and be intentional about anything. Anymore, the patient care and quality you have to keep up with, and the standards what the insurance company's putting onto is so difficult. Just the return of revenue, let alone go home and take care of yourself, let alone getting in and work out when your surgery starts at 4 a.m. or whatever. Like, it's impossible. So you're now brainwashed to running you're in the matrix, right? You're going through this thing.
You're on the hamster wheel.
So you're like, all right, I'm a doctor. My life is not under my terms. I don't have control of it. The wealthy would say, I want to be able to control myself. I want to be able to do things what I want under my terms and condition in this thing. But you felt, I don't know if this is true or not, but I would think that your freedom was taken away. And the way that you saw freedom happening is you needed cash flow. So the best way to get cash flow is to buy real estate, because real estate produces monthly cash flow. So now you're independently wealthy. When you have enough cash flow coming through your passive investments, then you can go and say I will do surgeries or I won't do surgeries, but it's now on your terms. So what I heard when everyone walked into my office is, I want freedom. I want to be free. I want to be free of my money. I want freedom of my time. I want freedom to be able to spend it with the people I love. And I want a bigger purpose. And so for you, what your first thing was is probably, oh, real estate can give me freedom. Perfect. Let's understand real estate. Does that make sense?
Yes.
That's your plan. So now you're designing your life. You're saying that I actually want freedom. My way to get freedom is through cash flow. And the way I know best is through something I don't know much about, is real estate. But I say, well, why don't you buy real estate in the business of medicine? Why don't you own the surgery center? Why don't you get things that you actually do know that can give you the same thing that you have an advantage over others that don't?
Mm-hmm.
So why don't we get in the business of medicine, cash flow real estate?
Yep.
So now what you're doing is you're thinking about your thinking. I'm challenging your thinking, and you're clearly articulating your why, and you're creating your unique ability and the gift that you give every day, and then you're building something that you can show up for in that way. That was one of the key principles that I learned in my world was like, it's not financial planning, it's making you better. Because now you're more intentional, you know what you want, you can clearly articulate it, and then now you start to design the life that you want. It's very game changing.
That's amazing. Yeah, I mean, that's what everybody's searching for, right? I mean, I could talk to, somebody, again, that's wealthy. I could talk to a high income earner, a physician, or you could talk to the guy down the street. Everybody wants that freedom, right? Everybody wants the abundance. It's taking that mentality from, correct me if I'm wrong, would you give this analogy of, the scarcity mindset is similar to that security that we feel with like a W-2 job, where everybody wants the freedom, but they don't want to leave it. They don't want to. They're like, this is good. It's a blanket that's putting a roof over my head. It's giving me the money to take care of my family, but it's not what I'm truly passionate about. Or is there something more? So they're almost leaving. They can't leave that security blanket to chase that freedom necessarily.
Yes.
Would that be similar to the scarcity and abundance?
It can. I think the just over broke job description.
Yes, there you go. Yeah.
It's overused a lot of times because people say, oh, because I have a job, then my life is bad, or I can't do this. There's a lot of people that I know that have roles in companies that are jobs that I've learned how to be in the corporate world and develop themselves very well because they have a unique gift to do that. And I think there's a lot of people out there that are selling you a bag of goods saying, hey, go be your entrepreneur, go do all this stuff. It's so much easier over here.
Right.
Well, that's like eating glass and then staring down a black abyss every single day. There's only so many people that are really built for that. And they're insane. So if you're one of those top 1% crazy, good for you, because most business owners have a job. They just work very much for a low pay for a long time.
Right.
For a very long time. And so there's this whole side thing, buy the side hustle and all this stuff. But once again, it's not their path. It's your path. So we got to clearly articulate what that is. And if it does make sense for you to create this other way, but maybe it could be within that W-2 salary in a certain way. But most entrepreneurs have W-2 salaries because they have a LLC, follow the S Corp, they take a small salary and they have ownership. But I just know the guy that has a very awesome company. He is very, very well revenue, and he says, I haven't taken a paycheck in 2 years. And he just raised $100 million. So what kind of job is that? Like he's working his butt off for something that may or may not turn out. He's 1% crazy. So, but to your point is we got to be real. Once again, take control. If that's the path you want to go, good. When's this going to turn? What are we fighting for? What are the values that we associate with? What is the outcomes that we're looking for? And let's walk in that wide open. And I can show you exactly what it feels like to go through hell and back every day. And I'm really comfortable being uncomfortable because I do it all the time and I help entrepreneurs do it. Does that make sense?
No, it does. It absolutely makes sense. So, I mean, to your point, the grass is not always greener on the other side, right? Entrepreneurs are a little nutty in the head. I mean, to a degree. My dad's an entrepreneur. And
it's crazy.
And you got to be the biggest optimist. Like, any adversity, you're going to get through it. You have to be that way or else.
Well, here's the thing.
You'll cry.
Entrepreneurship is all about problems. Like you have no product unless you have value.
Right.
So an entrepreneur, what you're doing is you're saying, here's something that's broken. You're an orthodoc, you go in and you find out that the tool, the utensil, the thing doesn't work right. The hospital setup's not right. The nurses don't know what they're doing. There's no proven process. You say, you know what? I can fix that need better, more efficiently, or whatever it is with this tool, with this technique. And then entrepreneurs say, that's what I'm going to build. And now it's something that you understand, you're passionate about. You don't know how you're going to do it, but you know that there's a thing there that you can do. You can see the vision. If I can just get to that, this is what it is. And then you start the company. So you start with cash flow. Like you start to figure out how can I make cash flow. And then you have this vision of what the wish I had company. Like wish what would I want to have. And that's what you start to build towards. And so my job is to help you think about that wish you had. But you got to do it with your wish you had life, because when mama says, oh, great, you just left your nice paying job.
Yeah.
We have no money and you're over here doing what?
Right.
And then we got to go move out of that nice house because the business entrepreneurship journey is like one of these,
Yep.
unless you're like, you figure it out better. But for the most part, it's not so, and then your personal life's along that ride. And it's the same thing. Oh, I'm going to buy cash for real estate. It's going to solve my problems. I can tell you a lot of doctors that wish they never touched real estate ever.
Sure.
Ever. Like, it's probably the worst thing they've ever done because they lost all their money.
Right.
And they got credit
They get
issues,
burned,
and then they
yeah.
got all this stuff. And I can go through the list of doctors who I see it around town here. You have these investment managers saying, oh, real estate's your secret to your success. I was like, really? You're going to sell at a 4% cap? Like, you might as well buy a CD at the bank. Like, you might as well, I mean, what are you doing?
Right.
But they think they're getting this whole thing, and they make it all pretty with all the stuff and say this is what it's going to be. And then at the end of the day, if it doesn't work out, whose problem is it?
Right.
They just used your money to build their wealth.
Yep.
Versus us training you to do that. And I see it all the time. They use the real estate as a way to get doctors who don't understand real estate to get them separated from their money. And it's horrible, but that's what they do. Instead of empowering them, teach them cash flow. But if the real estate went down, can I have your house? Like, would the guy who's promoting, would he give me his house?
Right. No.
Then why would I give him money if he's not willing to put his house up as collateral?
Yep.
So that's a rule. Like, if that's the rule we want to give money to, then let's talk about it. But I see it all the time where these people are packaging up things for certain reasons. I mean, I'm not saying everyone's that way, but that would be a question we want to ask. And then they need to prove to me like what that would look like to make that a really smart investment for us.
Yep.
And we've worked with real estate developers and people together and we know what that is. But those are things that you start to create for yourself. Like, what are rules? I learned my rules by working with doctors who bought a lot of real estate and lost their shirt, and I'm trying to get them out of it. That's entrepreneurship. You're fixing hard to solve problems.
Yep. No, that's good. So, I mean, with all that being said, what's the answer? Obviously, physicians, if you want to get into real estate, there's still some benefits to real estate, obviously.
100%.
Yeah. Tax benefits and other things.
I studied real estate in college.
Okay.
Yeah.
So coming back to that,
Yeah.
physicians obviously don't have the time to study it. So mostly we're going to be limited partner on deals, right? So you find a good operator, hand your money over. But to your point, you could be getting taken advantage of. Like, you don't know, it's a risky play. So what's the answer, in your opinion, for physicians to get those tax benefits, to get into real estate? What do you think?
So you have to get organized. Like, the first thing you do is get organized. Most physicians can't even tell me their net worth. They have no idea. They don't even know their P&L. They don't know, like a business owner would know their net worth statement. They would have their balance sheet.
Yep.
The balance sheet tells you where you are at now. So any business has a balance sheet. Everything's titled back to the balance sheet is where it starts. And then the next thing is they have a P&L. Most physicians are just one paycheck away from being broke, things like that, because they've increased their standards of living, their lifestyle can't keep up, and guess what? They're stuck in the trap because now they can't leave the $1 million income or whatever it is.
Yep.
So that they don't have a P&L. And the next thing is they have no idea what their protection is. They'll insure everything else, their cars, all this stuff, but they're the golden goose. They don't even know how to protect the goose.
Right.
So what you do is you got to get organized. You got to have a model where you can put everything together, 20 areas, and you look at them very clearly. And you say, okay, what do I want? What do I want? Well, I don't want to do this every day. I want to be done. I want to be retired by the time I'm 50. Okay. Now we got to figure out, okay, here's how much I make. Here's how much I save. Here's all this stuff. And then we start to build out that path. So the wealthiest people in the world start with how they're organized. They know where everything is. They're very organized. The best doctors and surgeons are very organized. You wouldn't want someone go and grab a hammer when they need a knife.
Right.
I'm just...
No, you're right.
Yeah.
Yes.
So-
We use both.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So once you get yourself organized, now you can start to be intentional with your decisions. Because now I can start to say, well, in 5 years, you're going to be here anyway if you just save 10 to 15% of your money. So the first thing is you get organized. And now everyone that's accountable to your success, because you go to your financial advisor, you go to your banker, you go to your attorney, you go to the people the CPA who's going to do all the tax planning for you and say, look, here's my stuff. You all are accountable. All right. I'm holding you all accountable and bring that real estate dude in. It's going to help us do it.
Yep.
And you're all accountable to my success. I want to be retired, independently wealthy by this age. What's that mean? I want $1 million of free cash flow rolling in. I want to be there. So now that's your board of directors. They're the ones that are going to help you do that.
Yep.
So organization, bring in the board in that way.
Okay. We'll end on that. But I love that. And I had a follow-up question on that. So,
Yeah.
no, that's awesome. I mean, this is good because you're not just, telling physicians what they want to hear, i.e. me, which is great.
Well, what happens is we listen to all the
Gurus and
noise,
Yep.
the white coat, all the people, right? Because they have a methodology, so they're telling you what to do. What we need to do is be better at helping discover what's working for you. They may be right.
Right. But it's got to be customized to the person.
To you.
Yeah.
Like you got to understand the pros of each option to make the decision.
Yeah. Is this similar to like a family office, like the whole Rockefeller thing where we talk about like a family office, having your CPA and your financial advisor and your whole team, lawyer? I mean, they're expensive, obviously, right? It's expensive to have a family office.
Yeah. So the family office is you've got all those people that are there to make decisions that are on your payroll.
Right.
So it's very expensive and all that. And then you got to find out, like, do you really want to hire all these people and manage these people?
Yeah.
What I'm talking about is that same structure. What I'm talking about is strict accountability. Because even in a family office and you run a business, you have these people that are supposed to be a steward of your capital and all these, they're disciplines, but at the same time, they still need a game board. They still need to be able to have rules. They need process.
Right.
They need to know how this family runs their money. They need rules. And someone in that whole thing is going to be the leader that are going to execute everything on your behalf. So yes, 100%. But why do we need all these people and all this fat when you can just be intentional and design it what you want? And then we hold these people accountable to what they need to do. And now you should have peace of mind and harmony because we got a game board. You've got a why, and then you've got people that are accountable to the terms you set. So now we don't need to hire all these people. They're outsourced family office. It's a virtual family office. It's whatever you want it to be. But you're 100% correct because if you don't have those people in the right play, and what we always say is like you need someone that's going to hold them accountable, and someone's going to get it done for you because you're busy. You say, "Hey, I'm buying that property. Cool, we got you." So a family CFO is the way we position it, or in our last book, Future Hack, your future hacker helps you think about what you want. And that's what your role is because you're going to make decisions. They're coming in, hey, here's your tax strategy. Here's your trust. How much insurance do you want? And you're sitting there going, and even in financial planning, they're saying, this is what you need. This is, what do I need? Do I really need any of this stuff? Like, I might want it. I don't know if I need it. Like, needs is not like, this is what I want, man. This is what I'm building for. And so now you get real intentional. Like, hey, I want you. So when I say you want freedom, you want faster, you want work optional, you don't want to be retired. Retire means taken out of use.
Right.
So let's re-engineer your words because you may not be doing medicine anymore, but you may be something else. You may be teaching it. You may be volunteering. You're definitely not dead.
Right.
Retire. You're not done. If you are, then you're done.
No.
Those are key tenets to be able to design you. And that's the thing you're thinking. Because if you don't have control, which is what family offices are doing, they're bringing the control in, they can control it. Well, we can give you the semblance of control, whether you're a gazillionaire or just a normal person. So our stuff should work for the really wealthy. It should also work for people like me that was just trying to figure it out. It should work for everybody.
So do you guys take on any client, or how does that work out with your business?
Is
there a certain net worth?
Yeah. Everyone says, oh, yeah, you're in the wealth management space. You got to work. And I talk to these wealthy people like, oh, you can only work. I only work with people that have $10 million or 25 and all that. And I was like, cool. Great. So you wouldn't have worked with me when I was nothing, but now I'm worth more than you are. So like, okay, cool. So why would I turn away my past self that I think could be like me? So no, I've never sized someone up by a checkbook. I just ask like, do you want to win? Can you think about a bigger future for yourself? And then do you got to get? You have to get. If you do, I got you, man. So I may not work with you directly, but the process, the systems, I have a bunch of people, advisors, young people that are coming in this business that want to help people. And I was like, why was I trained to go into technology or something else? Like, why aren't they teaching what we do? Because this is such a need. They don't teach it at school.
Absolutely.
You don't learn how to do this stuff. I'm like, I want to change that. Like, so when I went to that coaching program for technology, like there was 30 of us in the room and they're teaching us how to be tech entrepreneurs and simplify problems in the tech space. Like, why aren't we simplifying problems in the financial space? Versus, if I would have went the traditional route and gotten this business first, it would have been like, here's the product you sell. Here's the thank God I went to
100%.
finance school and learned that, like, get the financial degree and all
Because
that
it's
stuff.
worth nothing,
I would have
'cause-
not understood that. I wouldn't have had people calling me like, "Wow, that feels weird."
Right.
You know.
Yep.
But that's the journey that you're on. Is that's empowerment. That's giving you the tools. It's motivating you to do this, because these systems and processes will work for the wealthier you are, the more problems you have. More money, more problems. They have they have the same issues as that.
Yep.
It's just their families are broken. Hell, sometimes they have worse problems, because when they die, it may not be anyone that loves them anymore. At least when I had no money, I'm sure someone liked me.
Right.
I mean, I had no one else to do it. Hang out with people.
Yep.
At some other levels, they're so isolated from things.
Right.
Not because maybe it was intentional, but that's just what happens sometimes. But anyway, that's the thing. And now even that situation, you're trying to say, well, how do you train the next generation? Because usually it's one person in the generation that gets it going, and you got a bunch of other ones that aren't there. And then those people will be walking to school again like the first one did.
Yep.
Like,
Right.
that's it.
So that's a good point. Because I mean, when I hear you talk or even read your books, I hear Kiyosaki, I hear Dan Sullivan. I noticed that he wrote. He had a quote in your book.
Yep.
So I'm assuming that you have connections with him.
Absolutely.
Which he's phenomenal.
He's my coach. He's my business coach.
Okay, there you go. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
he's
he's top notch.
I recommend going to him every day.
That's great. Gary Gunderson is another one that I like sense a little bit when I read your stuff and listen to you.
Financial Jesus.
Yeah, exactly.
Hair.
But I love what he's doing, and this is before social media. I didn't really know about him until I picked up his book, What Would the Rockefellers Do? And then I read Killing Sacred Cows.
Great book.
A great book.
I mean, all of it.
And really, it's what you're talking about with Killing Sacred Cows is taking all those myths that we thought were the way to invest, especially physicians. Again, I'm going to talk about talk like I'm a physician, because I am. Because I know how most of us think, and it's like you put our money in the stock market, or 401k, max out your 401k, max out this, and then retire, and we'll have plenty of money when we're 65, right? And then we can just enjoy it then. Well, you're missing out on a lot of life.
Yeah.
And I know docs that retired that now they don't have their identity of being a surgeon. Their kids don't really know them all that well because they spent all that time in the OR, right? So to your point with some of that stuff, legacy, it's not just about being wealthy. It's about teaching values to your kids. It's about, just living this life. Like, speak to that. I mean, that was kind of a lot, but.
I mean, you nailed a lot. Like, to me, all those people you mentioned are idols to me. I don't know if idol's the right word. I just look up to them.
Yep.
They're like, they're in their space, very transformational what they do. Like, the first finance books I read were Robert Kiyosaki. He took my money, but a lot of those things made a lot of sense to me, because I wanted to be a rich dad one day. So what would it look like if I was to be the gambler and I would do the real estate strategy? He said, like, so when I win, take my money off the table and play thousands money. I'll use that today. So what's my period of time? It's one of my 5 things I look at when I buy real estate. But I got that from that book.
Okay.
And it was like one of the big things I took from Robert Kiyosaki. Well, Gary Gunderson lives in Utah as well. And so I'm like, well, Robert Kiyosaki was doing it. And then Kim Butler, who's written books with him, I'm friends with her. And she uses insurance and stuff. And she did life insurance for him and all that. And she was in one of my study groups. So I'm like, oh, these are good people. And then Garrett, he came to the Indy 500 with us.
Oh, nice.
And then so we did. I helped, we worked together on this book, Accelerate and Future Act. He helped me with that.
Okay.
And then he did, we redid What the Rockefellers Do, because there was some stuff in there that I didn't necessarily agree with.
Really?
That had to be done. And then he rewrote it and let me put my name on it with him. And then now what's good is other advisors can use it, because there's a big misnomer in there why the Vanderbilts didn't make it and the Rockefellers did. And some of my most wealthy families use that approach. They insure their families for their value. And I know a whole subset of financial advisors that would rather you take more risk than protect yourself first, because they either don't understand it or there's some other motive there.
Yeah.
And I see it in town. Like, I'll see, like, clients will go and get another opinion and they'll say, get rid of that insurance. We could do better.
Yep.
I mean, do better or take more risk? Which one is it?
Yep.
So you should start with no risk. If I could get your plan done with no risk, and then you start figuring out how you add risk. That's not me. That's what Warren Buffett talks about.
Yeah.
Like, he's kind of knows what he's doing, because you want to build unpenetratable moats around your castle. But when you have people that are trying to separate you from your money and make financial decisions based off of stuff that add risk, why would you do that?
Yep.
So those are the kind of things. So every one of those people you mentioned is in this book. in some way, some fashion. You mentioned a guy that Dan Sullivan, like his entire business model, strategic coach. Like Garrett's been a coach. We've had Gino Wickman's in my group, EOS.
Yep, traction.
You've got so in our mastermind group,
Dang, some big dogs.
Peter Diamantis, who wrote Abundance 360, AI, longevity, and all that. Really good friends within that group. Stephen Kotler, Flow State, the king of Flow. I mean, you go through like some of the most. Who are the 4 Hour Work Week? Trevor.
Tim Ferriss.
Yeah, him. Like he's been in. So like you have all these thought leaders. Why would they go to Dan? Well, his business is so good. He's a really good salesperson, is what he says, but he's really good at helping people think what they're thinking. And that's when it hit me. I was like, oh my gosh, I've been in that program almost 20 years.
Wow.
And he's been helping me think about my thinking for so long that it becomes natural. I'm like, why is it that others aren't doing that in the financial space? That's why I keep saying it. But that's a piece that I learned from him. I was just there last Thursday.
Nice.
And I learned a whole bunch of.
Where's he out of?
He's out of Toronto.
Okay.
But you can go to any of the classes, and we could get him on. Oh, we could do a podcast with maybe not him, but one of the coach people for sure. I can be an endorser of it. But yeah,
that's amazing.
My
gosh, I mean, come on. Like those names, I didn't know. When I saw Dan Sullivan, I actually saw it maybe last night when I was reading Future Hack. I was like, interesting. I wonder if there's a connection there.
Oh, there's a connection.
Big time. Yeah.
That's why that's why to me, if I was gonna have one person say that this book's good, that's why he's the only one on it.
Oh, that's amazing.
Because he has that much influence in me, like as far as helping me with that. Really becoming the visionary that I am today and helping people.
I knew you were big time. I just didn't know how big time.
I don't know if it's big time, but yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah, it's cool that you have these people. I can call Gary, I can call Dan, I can call these people. But you know, LeBron James spends $1 million a year on his body.
Sure.
You know, well, I spend quite a bit as well. Maybe not on my body, but on my intellect.
Yep.
The things I do and stuff, but it's at a very high level.
Okay.
So in those rooms and the coaching and the development there, what that does, it allows me to show up. It allows me to be so good at understanding myself, so that way I can be there. Imagine if I could get all my clients to do that. So if I have 2,500 households, say 10,000 clients today, and if everyone could become abundant and really design a life they want, that's my gift, man. How do you get 1 million people doing that?
Yes.
And then what are we worried about? Like abundance and the outcomes and the things and the possibilities, insanely.
That's amazing. That is really cool. And one of my questions actually was, what role does personal development play in financial success?
Yes. Yeah. So you have three legs, your stool. You got your personal development, how you are. So you got 3 legs of that, your mental, your spiritual, and your physical. And I know that because my wife's grandfather, when he wrote his words to the kids, and I recited it at my wedding. Oh, wow. Because he passed away. It was horrible. But he wrote a letter. So his legacy was in this thing. These are the words to live by. And that your mental, spiritual, and physical are 3 legs. If one gets out of balance, the stool will fall over. So, yeah. So I learned from him, and I put that in. So I learned. So your professional career, so you got your personal, those 3 legs, your professional, right? So if you're a doctor, whatever it is, are you a leader? What are you doing professionally to get better? So how are you doing personally? So we have 10 disciplines through Gino. That's like, what are the 10 disciplines you need? So that's why I was saying, are you clear in your mind? Do you journal? Do you have, your 100%? Those are disciplines. Professional, that's where you start to get your leadership and things you do in your career. And then your business. And your business. So like, what are you doing? What is your business? Are you an expert? Those are the 3 legs of that. And those are the 3 that we always build. So when we pull out your you, like, okay, do you have a time system for yourself? Like when you're actually getting things done, like you buffer so you can show up and be productive to the world? Do you have free days so your kids know that you are home, like you are present? Yeah, your schedule is all over the place. We get that. But are you there on Friday, Saturday, Sunday, whatever those days are?
And are you actually present when you're there?
Are you present? Yeah. Is this a way? Like, are we on our phone and not engaged? Do you have a different persona? Do you have to be a doctor here? Here, you're more laid back with me on this business, and then you're going to go out and have beers with the guys. Is it 3 different people? And then you walk in home, it's different. Or are you always the same authentic self? You're not putting on a different face, a different persona. You're always in your flow. You're always here. And that's when you start to really I don't have to put on a different camouflage. I'm just, take me for what I am.
Yep.
And that's when you start to have that power. And then that's what you do. And then your finances and everything goes because it's about you. And you work for your family, and you design the future that you want. Those are the 3 components that really are at the center of freedom. It's not your business. It's not your 401k.
Yep.
It's you.
Yep. I love all that. Yeah, that's amazing. I mean, you just put a lot of things together all in one, basically, and that's what that's what I'm trying to get out there. I guess I started the Legacy RX, where it's this podcast. I have a Legacy RX conference coming up in October. Bringing different minds, and I'll ask you off air if you want to potentially come speak.
I love it. Is it here in Indy?
Here in Indy, downtown, JW Marriott.
Sweet, let's go.
But it's really trying to find that. I mean, I don't know the answers, of course, and that's what I'm searching for, and I'm doing it on air so other people can see what we're trying to learn, and it's talking to guys like you who are figuring this stuff or have figured this stuff out. And you're obviously. Do you coach now?
Yeah.
You coach?
That's
Well, I know that part of your business, I guess, is education. So that's what you're saying. Okay.
That's coaching right now.
Okay.
So I just spoke at Tiger 21. So to get into Tiger 21, you need $20 million liquid.
Wow.
It's another level of it's a big boy group, girl group too. And I did a presentation on legacy by design.
Okay.
Which is interesting to your Legacy RX. And that whole thing is, once again, if you don't design it, and you don't design your legacy and you don't have rules to your money, someone else will. It'll take control of that. And one of the things that's very important is that. So how do we design your legacy? And that's what those books are saying and all that. But all these little subsets, these are principles. Like when I'm talking these 6 key principles. And then there's tools, there's little hacks and shortcuts that get you there. So do you know your Invst DNA, how you're wired? What are your rules to money? Do you have a game board to how you weigh and measure decisions? Who executes? Who's your who's are accountable? Right? Do you have, if you don't have something, do you have the questions you must answer to know about yourself? So if you're to die, would your life be done? Would it be complete? Would everyone say, oh yeah, dude, it was awesome, he was there?
Love that.
And so what we want to do is we want to go back and say, well, what if I can give you the gift of the rest of your life? What would it be? So we give you those tools so you can get more intentional with it. In a way that is coaching, so you're thinking about your thinking. Yeah, our product might be around the wealth management space, but I still believe that the product is you. So I got to develop a better you.
Yep.
And it's managing the whole ecosystem. So how do you manage you? How do you manage your body? Do you know your health? Do you know your longevity?
Right.
How do you control that? So that's the next thing we're working on is what's your body operating system? What's your business operating system? What's your financial operating?
Have you done that physically with the labs and things like that to know your physiologic age?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yep.
I'm 12. No, I'm just kidding.
Nice. Yeah.
So
biohacking, right? Yeah.
Well, here's the deal: is you talk about legacy by design or legacy RX. And what good is money if you're not healthy?
Absolutely.
Health and wealth, they go together. And most of my clients are doctors, by the way. I don't know if you knew that.
Okay, no, I didn't.
So when I was in Tampa, there was not the consolidation that's happened so much here in the Midwest. So there's still a lot of opportunity. So I would do residency programs.
Yes.
So I would take the AMA program, and I was like, well, none of the doctors get out with any skills. So I just took the program and created a curriculum out of it. And I'd walk in the residency programs, and I would work with the different residency programs. In Tampa at the time, it was USF, and I would go to those different ones. And, and so I'd work those. And now those doctors that work with us probably own, they own ENT practices and ortho groups and oncology things. And
those are the guys that are the CEOs of the group. Right?
Yeah, they run it. They own it.
Yeah, they know the business.
So I'd like to think that I'll take all the credit, but they were curious. They're the ones that said, hey, I want help. And they're self-learners.
Yep.
They're getting better, and we learn together, and we get better together. And then we hope that we can go into they're kind of senior people, and they're is that next generation doing that?
Yep.
And all that stuff. So that's the kind of stuff that you do to help people get better.
When did you stop doing that residency coaching program? Was that just in Tampa? I went to med school in Sarasota.
Oh yeah. I've been down there a few times.
Yeah.
We have an office in Lakeland Ranch. So
do you?
Yeah.
Lakeland Ranch? Yeah, that's where it was. Med school was literally down the street. Lakeland Ranch. Yep. Mm-hmm. Very cool.
Oh yeah. And
Dick Vitale lives down there.
I know. My buddy's doing his documentary right now.
Oh, is he?
He's a strategic coach.
Oh, nice. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Dickie V is awesome.
So, yeah, the program that you had, I mean, I think residents now need that more than ever because, and I'll tell you the stats, 75% of physicians now are employed, right? Whether it's private equity or hospital employed or insurance company, whatever it is.
Yeah.
Which takes away some entrepreneurial mindset, You kind of lose that business side of things. You're like, okay, I don't need to know the numbers. I can focus on this, which is good, but bad in the sense of they're losing freedom. 63% of doctors feel burnout at this point. So I think educating more physicians or more residents, even starting at a young age, on that stuff would help a ton with this new generation.
I would. I think you nailed it really well. Like the physician was trained to go to school.
Right.
Like you can't go be a doctor and not go to school. Like, and that at least I know. Like, of course, I don't know. But anyway, so you're going through what school teach you. It teaches you to go get a job.
Mm-hmm.
And then so they say you could do all these different tasks to get through there, and you spend so much time doing it, and that's exactly what you're doing. But does it ever teach you how to think about what you're thinking?
No.
Because it's like, I got to do this, and it's always a series of steps to get to be that, whatever that discipline is. And so when we get in there, it's like, man, I'm so glad I have good doctors, because I was like, there's two things you want in this world. You want a good financial person, so you have money to hire the good doctors, or you need to be a doctor so you can solve everybody's problems, people pay you for whatever doctors are always going to be needed.
Right.
Those are the two career paths that I thought were the most important. I just couldn't be a doctor. So now I have great doctors. They'll take care of me and stuff. Mm-hmm. But that's the biggest thing that I see. So you're going through this journey and you're like, well, I'm going to try to rechange all that wiring that I spent my entire life that I grew up with. Man, I'm going to be I'm going to be an astronaut, a doctor. All right, doctor. Like, it's like one of those things. And thank God there's there. But now you got this thing where you're trading time for money, mm-hmm. and you're now this pawn in a thing, which is in a way what's happened. But does that mean it has to be that way? It doesn't have to be that way.
Right.
It's the doctors didn't lobby enough. They didn't do certain things. The insurance companies took over. Mm-hmm. They all that. I know because we've helped a lot of those business and medicine people sell healthcare networks and make a lot of money to the big insurance. But it's about it's like, how do you manage your healthcare costs? How do you do certain things? Well, why don't we reinvent medicine? It's mm-hmm. so ripe for disruption. Mm-hmm. Like, it's right there.
Agreed.
There's so much opportunity in it. So we got to start thinking the contrarian again. Like, what is that? And so the doctors and physicians I work with, we start reinventing medicine. Like, what is it? Why aren't we doing body operating systems? Why aren't we being more proactive versus reactive? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And we're saying, though, this is the way it's done. Well, why don't we wind back the age? And what is the quality of life? Yep. But if the healthcare in America is not as good as other countries, how is that possible?
Right.
Is it the food we eat? Is it, all those questions? Those are the questions. Those are the problems you solve.
Right. And very good. Yeah.
So I would be like, well, if I'm managing your finances, I'd like to manage your health. Mm-hmm. At least know where you are.
Right.
So what good is wealth without health? Like, to me, it's
exactly.
So I don't know. I don't know what that's going to evolve to, but that's why I like to go to those longevity conferences. I like to go to like the Abundance 360 and stuff, and see like when they're rebuilding livers and stuff, and like how you build out I don't know how that works. Yeah. But those are that's the game. Because once you get so much money, then you're like, okay, what's my health going to look like? Mm-hmm. But if you spend your entire life trading time for dollars, stressed out, not living purpose, not working out, not taking care of your bed, then you find out you're like the shoemaker's shoes. You're the doctor that's the most least healthy. Yeah. And you look at
which is a lot of the physicians out there, right?
100%.
And to that point, like the Kiyosaki, bringing that back, the cash flow quadrant. Yes. Where most doctors are the E or the S on the left side of the quadrant. And you're talking about, going to the right side, right? Investor or big B, business, be an entrepreneur. I think, from my standpoint, I think that most physicians, the easiest way to go is to the I, investor, but then that's when it gets risky, right? So now you feel like you need to make up for something, and so you put the money in the I bucket, but then that's risky, and then somebody gets burned on a real estate deal, and now they're like, what do I do?
Yeah. So I would say Elon Musk was really comfortable taking all his PayPal money and rolling it into Tesla and then doing it again into SpaceX. Mm-hmm. So to him, it wasn't risky because he knew the vision was powerful. Yeah. I mean, he may tell you something else, but I'm just using an example of that. So the way Kiyosaki arranged that, these are assets that generate cash flow. So if you look at a financial statement, a net worth statement, it goes personal property, savings, cash value life insurance, investments, retirement, real estate, business. As you go down, you get more power, less liquidity. As you go up, you get less power, more liquidity. So as you start to organize your money in a certain way, then you start to see where that is. Cash flow is another P&L that those assets are now generating it. But none of those assets are generating the income because on your cash flow statement, it's gross income. You make so much money. You have how much you protecting yourself, how much of that money you're making goes into your assets, how much of that money is going to debt and taxes, and then what's left over is for lifestyle. So it's the only ways you can build out your cash flow.
Right.
So what you're saying is I have to go to work, so it's people at work, to generate this, and then that money you can probably put about 15 to 20% in. And if you do that and you earn 7% on the money in the traditional way, it's a 30-year sling it out. Hopefully you can save the 15 and 20%. Hopefully you can earn 7%, and you'll get there in about 30 years. That's the numbers. If you can, the cheat code is that how do I get that dollar to do 2 things, 3 things, 4 things? It's called velocity of money. How many times can I get that dollar to turn? So then you're like, well, bank, you go to the bank, deposit money at the bank goes to the Fed, borrows 10 times the dollar, and they loan to you for a house, for a car loan, for all these different things. So the cheat code is that what if those assets were then to buy the real estate? Those assets were then to buy the business. Or better yet, I am so creative that I can get IP and all these things, and I can get someone else to give me money to build my business. So I could work inside the system. I could get in the academic side. I want to create a new product that I own while I work at a job. And this is now my new side hustle. But I understand it really well. Or I want to invest in the surgery center that I built or I'm a part of, and I have more control of that versus playing on someone else's stage. So I always bet on you first before I bet on someone else. If you have no one else to bet on, then you bet with them. Make sense?
That's amazing. Oh, yeah. No, it really does. No, this is great. I mean, what you guys have at Invst, I mean, it truly is like a machine. Like when you get out the whiteboard and you draw all this stuff out where your money can make more than just, 1 times itself. You're saying you could use it 3 or 4 times? Like, that's insane. That's when compound interest really takes off.
Yeah, because you got one compound interest curve is money, people at work. So people at work create this, so it takes 30 years. If you do that's if you just pay yourself 15%. The problem is most Americans can't even do that. That's very difficult. And then then you're relying on all the risks. Like you got to make sure the market's performing and everyone's good and we're not getting blown up or something. So like you got all that. And then you got to say, okay, well, what if I could get that to create another compound interest curve, another compound interest? That's where you start to really multiply. But you got to create an engine. You got to create your family bank. You got to create your money, your cash flow management system and how that stuff works where you're using money to create new money and then you're rebuilding it, you're readjusting your risk, and you're making it work.
These are just things that we do not learn, right? I mean, even a lot of financial advisors, to your point earlier, just, traditional stocks, bonds, and stocks, bonds, and just let it ride, right? So,
absolutely.
You guys are definitely not reinvent the wheel, but changing the mindset on a lot of these people.
Well, it's wealth management versus wealth building.
Sure.
2 different concepts.
So, with that being said, where can people find you? Where could people listening to this find you? Do you guys take clients from all over the country?
Absolutely. You can go to invst.com and then you could...
without the E?
Yeah, without the E. Yep. We can't spell, but we sure can invest. So you go in there and you can do there's a quiz you can take on like, are you on balance or not? And then it can go to a call to action to go. If you want me directly, scottjarrett.com. You can find me meeting there. But that's how you find us. And then obviously the book, Accelerate. What I'm going through here is I'm just talking about some of the principles that are already outlined in the book. So you can be like me and just read it. But if I can help you get better through reading, and then if I can help you along the way, then I would love to. And if I can't do it and my team can or whoever, like this will help you.
That's fantastic.
That's how you find me.
That's great. And Legacy RX Conference is going to be October 24th and 25th. And I'm going to see if Scott will come speak because I think that you'd be powerful.
All right, let's go.
Yeah, it'd be a nice lineup of guests, so it'd be awesome to have you. All right. Hey, thanks for coming on. We really appreciate you.
Absolutely.
It was awesome.
Thank you.
And we'll get this out to you.
This is my time. I'm on the rise. Can't hold me down.
Thank you for listening. If you found value in today's podcast, please leave a review so our community can continue to grow. If you would like to stay connected or receive a copy of your free investing ebook, please go to www.sharpinvestmentsllc.com, and that's sharp with a P as in professional. This is not financial or tax advice. Please consult with your financial advisor or CPA.